What's up, guys? The season 35 of Battlegrounds starts in 2 days on Wednesday, and today we're going to be going over both metas, analyzing, the top 10, roughly top 10 best attackers and defenders for each meta, just so that you know exactly who you want to rank up for the entire season before it even starts. So if you don't know already, Victory track and weeks 1 to 2 meta is Invade and Kinetic Absorption, which means you have both you and the defender have 100% block penetration and 300% increased attack, as it says there. And then Kinetic Absorption gives you 4% of your max power every time you hit the opponent's block. 3 to 4 of the Gladiator Circuit is Polka Dot Power, so you only gain power by doing damage over time debuffs or passives. And Power Shield, so you do no damage with your basic attacks, but your special attacks do 400% bonus attack. And then finally, Hurt Locker, so you can't throw the same special attack twice in a row. So, those are the nodes we're dealing with. When I talk about 1 to 2, I'm talking about Invade. When I talk about 3 to 4, I'm talking about Polka Dot Power. So, before we get into the video, I will say I worked very hard on this video. So, kind of multiple days of testing and such. So, if you enjoy, and if this helps you, I would appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe if you're not already. But yeah, only time probably I'm ever gonna ask for that. Normally I don't ask, but I worked quite hard on this video. But thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and jump into it here. Also shout out Osman for being the little friendly invite there to show the metas. All right, so we're gonna spend a lot of time just on the champion screen here, but number one, before we even get into individual metas, this champ literally has their own tier this season. If you don't have this champ this season, you need to rank her up, or you need to ban her probably. And that is Yelena Belova. So, starting off with Invade. She can crit through block, and she can inflict instant bleed through block. And my gosh, when you get both of those to trigger, it does so much damage when you're attacking. So automatically, one of the best Invade attackers. On the other hand, for defense, the way she works with not letting you benefit from increased attack rating, Invade is considered an increased attack rating. So she turns Invade off. And she does this defensively, so when you hit into her block, you're not going to be doing increased damage, you're just doing normal block damage. So basically, you have to fight Yelena like a normal meta. You're just fighting Yelena, except if she hits your block, it's going to do a crap ton of damage. So you're hindered, but you do not benefit from the node. So that's one. And when you're using Yelena on attack, she turns the node off for the defender. So you can actually block with Yelena and not take a ridiculous amount of damage like you are with everybody else. So, for example, Serpent. You can block Serpent Special 1 in Invade and not get cooked. You're probably going to heal a good amount of it back with Willpower 2. You could finish that fight with 95 to 100% health, which is ridiculous for this meta because Serpent is nasty. So that's just Invade. When we get to Polka Dot Power, Power Shield, now, I will say, she does not work on attack at all in that meta because her instant bleeds don't give her power, but she turns off Power Shield too. So, she's a tanky defender in the Power Shield meta too, which is just going to be an absolute nuke. I would say her best counter in that meta is Jean Grey, because Jean, because of her neurotoxin, or neuroshocks, gains power pretty quickly, can nuke the fight pretty safe. But outside of that, she's a pretty tough defender, because even Deadpool X-Force, who completely shuts her down, has to get to 3 bars of power, and that takes forever with his bleeds in Polka Dot Power. So she's just literally in her own tier this season, arguably the best champ for this season individually. Just very, very good. She gets her own tier. She'd be the number 1 attacker, number 1 defender, for Invade probably, and one of the best defenders for Polka Dot as well. So, got that out of the way. Next up, we're going to be talking about first the Invade meta. So this is Victory Track and weeks 1 to 2. Before we get into this list as well, let me just filter this to 7 stars. I want to highlight another champ specifically for this meta, and that is Mr. Knight. Shout out to the homie Craig for putting me onto this. So Mr. Knight caps block damage from to 90% of the attack that the attacker has when they enter the fight, I think, is how it works. Basically, what that means, you don't benefit from Invade when you're fighting this guy. So he is a little bit of a stall in the Invade meta. So he might be, you know, kind of a good defender, depending on who they have. Obviously, you could fight him normally, and you might, you know, nuke him faster than you would comparatively, but some of these champs with the Invade timer are putting up crazy fights. So, like, for example, Valkyrie, I have a rank 4 Valkyrie. She's doing, you know, 30 to 40 second fights. I did an onslaught in like 38 seconds. That's ridiculous. Valkyrie is almost timing out against this guy. That's how tanky he is in Invade. At the same time, he kind of has that Yelena aspect, right, where he can block in Invade and not take a crap ton of damage. So he does get his own special mention for Invade specifically. In Polka Dot Power Shield, he's pretty much useless. Don't run this guy in the deck. But in Invade, if you have him ranked up, I highly recommend running him. And if you have him but you don't have him ranked up and you are interested in his kit and want to learn more, shout out the homie Dread, dropped a video today pretty much breaking down this guy. And yeah, he's pretty crazy. He's pretty crazy. I wish I had him, not gonna lie. I'd probably take him up. But with those two champs out of the way, let's get into the actual list. So first up, we're gonna be talking about the top 10-ish best attackers for Invade, starting with Massacre. So Massacre, obviously one of those champs that does increase block damage with his bat, his special 2. You know, he's crazy. He's crazy hitting into the block. Specifically, I would say rank 4 Sig 200 Massacre, because Sig 200 Massacre gets 30% increased combat power rate while attacking. So this includes hitting into the block. And when you add in the kinetic absorption node that already gives you 4% power when hitting into the block, this dude gets to special 2 so freaking fast. I'm actually not sure who does more damage, him or Valkyrie, but the fact that he gains power so quickly puts him above Valkyrie for this meta, in my opinion. I'm not going to rank him just because mine's unduped, and I'm going to be running Valkyrie. So most likely I will be banning Massacre if I see Massacre. But yeah, if you have a ranked up, sigged up Massacre, absolutely run him. And if you don't have him, be very weary of what he's going to do to you on attack. Absolutely absurd. Next up, Valkyrie. Right? We already talked about her. Valkyrie has those pierces, you know, the increased block damage, special 2 into block, you get the fury. Very good. Her Sig with the pierce giving her the unstoppable counter with the grit, and then the bulwark passives, she is stun immune, plus she can shrug debuffs. Valkyrie, I probably shouldn't have. Valkyrie is one of the best attackers this meta. Like I said, I did an onslaught in like 38 seconds. There's not a lot of champs she can't take off the, like, Zola probably is like her worst matchup this season, or like Nico, right? Someone who like really punishes your buffs. But Valkyrie absolutely cracked. The grit on the Sig, so Sig 200, you don't necessarily need it, but I will say it really helps specifically this meta against Deathless Thanos and Thing, because Deathless Thanos gets the unstoppable counter punch on his block every time you get like your 10 hits. I think it's actually 5 hits when he's on defense, which can make him really annoying as a defender in Invade. Valkyrie completely ignores that, ends up turning into just free willpower for her, because you hit his block, you get the panic debuff on you. If she doesn't shrug it, you're just healing. It's free willpower. So she's very good for that fight in particular. And then Thing is also a good defender in Invade, and she can ignore his unstoppable if you don't line up the charges correctly at Sig 200 as well. So I would say those two matchups are like the ones you need it for, specifically this meta. I would still run an unduped Valkyrie in your deck if you have her, just because she's absurd in this meta. So Yeah, Massacre or Valkyrie, I highly recommend running at least one of those. If you have them both ranked, run both of them. If you don't have either, you're going to be in for a rough time probably, because they both deserve to be banned if you're not running the other one. And that's already 2 out of 3 bans taken up. You know, that's not great. That's not great. Up next, the other Pierce champ that also came out in the banquet, we have Hulkling. So Hulkling, as you know, gets his Pierce when you hit into the block, gets unblockable eventually, which is kind of annoying actually in this meta. But Hulkling goes crazy in this meta, hits very hard. I will say, some people were asking, is it better to throw special 2 into the block or into, get the Furies with the unblockable and throw it anyway? I do actually think you do more damage if you trigger the unblockable and then throw the special 2, because then you can do the relic chain and the fight's pretty much over after that. But special 2 into block also does good damage. I just don't think it's as much as the double Fury unblockable special, because I'm pretty sure it basically does as much as like non-crits. So if you crit on the special 2, then you're doing more, so it's probably worth it to just throw it anyway. But yeah, Hulkling, very good. Pretty much same thing as Valkyrie. He is actually better for the Zola matchup than Valkyrie is, I would say. But kind of has that same problem where he might not be able to take like stacked Mystic defenders just because of all his buffs. But one of the best attackers, definitely worth running if you have him. I would say he's probably not as much of an instant ban as the other two, but I don't know. Just because there's some pretty crazy attackers this meta. But yeah, Hulkling. Next up, Bullseye. Bullseye is absurd. He is absolutely absurd this meta. Guaranteed crits, inflicts the bleed through the block. Mine's only rank 3. I wish I had him rank 4. I don't think I'm going to be rank 4ing him for this meta just because he's kind of fallen off in other metas in regards to Battlegrounds. But man, did this guy make a comeback for this meta. He's crazy. He's kind of like in that Yelena tier specifically for Invade just because he's so good offensively and defensively. He's doing fights so fast with those guaranteed crits. I highly recommend, even if it's a rank 3, running Bullseye in your deck. And he's another one that, you might be wanting to ban because he's also on the list for defense. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit when we get there. But man, this dude hits in Invade. Crazy. Next up, a champ I do not have, and this is kind of based on other people's information. That is Imperiosa. So I have not been able to personally test this because I don't have the champ. But I believe when she drops below 1 bar of power, because she starts with like 2.5 bars, when she drops below 1, I believe she gets a Pierce. And her blocked hits go crazy after that, dude. Like, like crazy. So definitely worth mentioning. I'm not exactly sure, myself how quick, but I have seen some pretty crazy fights. So Imperiosa definitely going to be a very good attacker for Invade, which honestly there's a lot of good attackers for Invade, right? But next up, also in the Cosmic class, also a champ I do not own as a 7-star, the OG Invade King Corvus Glaive. Corvus Glaive, man, guaranteed crits through block, and they hit freaking hard. Like, I saw a guy, I faced someone running a rank 3 Corvus, and I think they took my onslaught in like 40 seconds, which is comparative to my rank 4 Valk. So a rank 4 Corvus, I don't know, probably 30 seconds? Absolutely ridiculous. By the way, these aren't in like any specific order. This is just kind of like a list that I compiled. One of the best attackers for this meta, always has been. He, like I said, he's kind of like the OG Invade guy. Very, very good. If you have him, he's worth running, even as a rank 3. I don't think it's worth running the 6-star just because of like how stacked rank 4s are. But even as a rank 3, this guy is worth running. So, yeah, that's Corvus. Next up on the list, honestly, she should kind of be more of an honorable mention, probably, which we'll talk about that when we get to the honorable mentions. Realistically, Carol's more of an honorable mention. The reason I have her on the list is because of her glancing on block. So it just makes her safe. she doesn't really do good block damage. You kind of just play Caro normally, which I mean, normal Caro, you know, you're finishing fights in 30, 40, 50 seconds, depending on who you're fighting. But the reason she gets such a benefit, or doesn't get a benefit, but the reason she's on the list is the way her glance works. She can parry, she can block, and completely ignore invade because she's just going to glance it. Especially if you have like a certain amount of buffs, you can glance special attacks, right? I think it's 6 to glance special attacks. So this way she could take, she works for Serpent, right? She glances to specials, doesn't take a ton of damage. The best Zola counter for this meta, not even close. And Zola is a pretty nasty defender this meta. You're doing Zola in, 30, 40 seconds, depending. And you just want to play Caro normally, right? Just chill in the sun. Build up your energy vulnerabilities, those special twos. Don't try to do block hits, just because you're not going to get a crazy benefit. I tried throwing one special two and then throwing the next one into block because you get the incinerates. It's not good. Just play Caro normal and rely on the safety net that is her glancing. But like I said, she probably should have been delegated to honorable mention. I don't know that she deserves a top 10 spot, but definitely worth noting. Up next, this guy definitely is in the top 10. Like I said, no specific order, but I will say I'm probably going to be banning this guy. So, yeah, that's worth noting. And that's Yondu. So Yondu just got buffed, and he was, available through the Cyber Weekend offers. Unfortunately, I did not pick him up, and I have regretted that ever since, to be honest with you. Just because I feel like when he came out, people were kind of pitching him as a defender, and nah, this dude's not great on defense like they thought he was going to be. But in Invade, on attack, this guy goes nuts. So the way he works is he can crit through block, and his Yaka arrow can inflict rupture through block. And when you're inflicting dot through block, you get that invade damage bonus. So this dude just melts. Like, I've seen him take onslaught in like 20 to 30 seconds, which is absurd. I know Dread took a Serpent in like 50 seconds with this guy, with just ridiculous. On top of that, his weakness kind of makes him a little bit more tanky. The way his weakness works is, based on the amount of debuffs that he has on you, and you throw a special, you get a weakness. Lets him be a little bit more tanky on block when baiting those special attacks. I still wouldn't recommend blocking. Obviously you're still going to take the invade damage, but very, very good nuke. I'm going to be banning this guy. So yeah, if you have him, absolutely you should be running him for invade. One of the best attackers for it. It's not even close. Next up, we have another one that probably should have been delegated to an honorable mention, I'm not going to lie. But Serpent. And that's just because he gets the pierce, he gets the buffs. His special attacks hit very hard if you throw them into block. Pretty safe, he gets the natural power gain. This dude, again, another one who's a great dual threat for this meta. But yeah, probably should have been knocked down to an honorable mention just because there's a lot of really good attackers this meta. And Serpent is good, but not like crazy insane. Next up, we have the dog, aka Werewolf by Night. So this is a champ that I have at rank 2 that will be going up to at least rank 3 for this season because he's really good for polka dot power as well. And Werewolf by Night is kind of like Yondu, where he inflicts ruptures on his mediums even through block, and those are going to do increased damage because of invade. He has the power gain. I do recommend personally throwing his special 2 normally. I don't love throwing the special 2 into block. If he's duped, I will say you can throw the special 2 into the block and you'll trigger that unstoppable passive afterwards. So if they punish you and you get hit, you can kind of back off after that and you heal a good amount of it back just because of his regen. But I recommend just hitting into block and then throwing your specials into the opponent normally. Is kind of how I play Werewolf for Invade. And last on the actual list, we have Sentinel. So the way Sentinel works is you want to hit the block anyway to build those invade charges, or the analysis charges, right, to ramp him up to 100. And once you're ramped, you throw that special 2 into the block, you're putting those incinerates on, and they melt. Like my rank 3 kills a rank 4 Gene in 1 special 2 with a special 1. So rank 4, which I will be taking this guy to rank 4 for this season, easily one-tapping mutants at least with those specials in the block. Just make sure it's not like an onslaught, right? Because obviously you punish by the incinerate, and probably not Britain, but he doesn't even, you don't even only have to use him for the mutant class. He's great for Invade, and another one who's also good for the next season, or next meta as well. But yeah, now let's talk about some honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1, and like I said, there's a lot of good attackers, so these could even justifiably make the list. Probably would have taken Caro and Serpent out, but Mantis has the crits. Cantona just put out a video kind of going over the Invade meta. Basically, you want to play Mantis normally, do the heavy, knock him down fully, throw the special 2. It's probably going to hit into the block, guaranteed crit, and you're going to be nuking. If you have Mantis ranked up, probably run Mantis. Another one who's a good for both, Zemo. So ideally, a high Sig Zemo. I was going to take mine up, but mine isn't duped, and it's kind of inconsistent, but he can perform crits through block when he's duped, and he gets increased crit damage and all that, so he can do some pretty good attack, but it's a little bit less consistent than the rest of the champs on this list, and he needs to dupe, but he's also really good for, well, he's also a decent defender in the next meta, so if you have him, worth running for sure. First and only 6-star on this list, we have Kate Bishop. Now, the reason she's an honorable mention and not a guarantee is just because we have, I mean, everybody pretty much has all rank 4s or rank 5s. So, like, some people have rank 5s in their deck now. So 6-stars are kind of sketchy to use because it's, like, if you get hit at all, you're probably going to lose the round. But the way Kate works on Invade is you just hit their block to gain power because of that kinetic node, and then you throw your special 2 and you perfect release into the block, and that cold snap just kills pretty much everybody. You're looking at about 40-50 second fights, so not the fastest option, but safe enough because you can get that like stun with your counter evade. So this makes her really good for Zola because you get that free knockdown, who, like I said, Zola is a really good defender this meta. But yeah, Kate Bishop, definitely worth running. I'm going to run her myself, but if your deck is like crazy stacked, maybe you don't have to run her just because she is a 6-star. On that same kind of note, we have Spider-Punk, who, another one I'm not going to rank up personally, but his special 2 inflicts ruptures, and then he has that like evade kind of charge as well. I don't know a ton about Punk, but I do know he's a good Zola counter in this meta, and his special 2 with the ruptures through block can go crazy. Final honorable mention for the Invade. This is kind of a weird one. Viv Vision. So Viv, basically you're going to ignore the node completely and you just play Viv because you get the parry and you miss, and it's pretty safe. I will say, if you mess up and you take the block hit with her health pool and her block proficiency, yeah, good luck. That's gonna hit really hard. But if you have Viv ranked up and you like Viv, she should be pretty good for the meta just because you can kind of ignore it and do your parry phase, play her normally kind of thing. But yeah, that's gonna do it for attackers for Invade. Next, let's go over some defenders. First, we have Zola. This guy sucks. This guy sucks on defense. If you don't have like Caro or Kate, or I guess Spider-Punk, yeah, you're in for a world of hurt because ideally you have to knock him down right before he gets to the 20, otherwise he's gonna sleep you. And in order to knock him down, you gotta bait heavy attacks, and this dude hits so hard into the block with Invade. He sucks. If you don't have this guy, he might be worth banning. Arguably the best defender in this meta. Plus, when you hit into his block, he gains 3 charges instead of 1. So he even kind of punishes you for playing the Invade playstyle and getting that bonus. This dude, really, really annoying. One of the best defenders in this meta for sure. On that same kind of note, we have Serpent. If you don't have Kushala, if you don't have Kushala at all, you should ban Serpent, I think. Because This dude is rough, even with Kushala. He does so much block damage, and I guess Doctor Strange, if Doctor Strange will be available before this meta, I'm not sure. But he just does so much block damage because you can't dex those specials, and it hurts. So Kushala I found is the best option. Nico also works. You just kind of want to push him to special too because you can dex those with the buff immunity. But yeah, this guy, if you don't have a Mystic, specifically those two, and they throw him on defense, you probably guaranteed lost that round. Unless you have like Yelena because of the way she works with the node. But yeah, this dude is a menace on defense, this meta. Same kind of note, right? We talked about him earlier. Bullseye, guaranteed crits, basically the special one. If you can't full dex the special one, it's going to hurt a lot if you block it. Honestly, with certain champs, specifically Jean, I recommend just getting hit by the special one because it's going to do less damage to you than it would if you block it, which is ridiculous. But yeah, guaranteed crits on block, and he just sucks. You probably want to use him more than attacker just because of how crazy he is, but if they don't have a counter, he might be a guaranteed round win, you know? So probably worth throwing on defense as well in a pinch. One of the best defenders. Also in the Cosmic class, we have Thanos. So Thanos, like I talked about in the Valkyrie section, the unstoppable on his block thing kind of makes it to where you can't really play it Invade. The only thing is Thanos has the Energize, so it's easier to push him to that special one, and the special one is very easy to dex and punish. So you can kind of play Thanos normally, easier than you would other champions. So specifically, I don't know, someone like Stark Spidey, right? Where it's like most of the time when you Stark Spidey Deathless Thanos, you're probably not taking blocked hits anyway. So it lowers his value a little bit. But the fact that you can't hit his block, the fact that he has the protection, he's a stall in a normal meta, even more so in this meta, I would say. This guy's always probably in the top 10 best defenders, but yeah, very good for Invade on defense. No surprise there. Another champ I don't have, and she, potentially could be delegated to an honorable mention, but I'm putting Dark Phoenix, which, surprise, surprise, right? Dark Phoenix is one of the best defenders in the game in general, but here's why I'm putting her in the top 10, is because the Incinerates reduce your block even more, so she's going to be doing even more block damage, right? The special 2, if you can't full dex it, you're going to take some damage on the block. Specifically, though, Pavarker, in my opinion, is like worse this meta because you can't block, just because you can't really take advantage of those heavies and the Iron Fist relic. Not to say you can't use him, but it's a little bit harder to use him. He's one of her best counters, and him not being, as viable kind of boosts her even more because it's pretty much him and like Nico. Nico can counter her fine still this meta, but if you're running someone else, yeah, I mean, Dark Phoenix is Dark Phoenix, hence her being on the list. Next up, we have Photon. So Photon, ideally a Sig 200 Photon. Her Sig increases block damage, or increases the debuffs, and then she does increase block damage based on the debuffs. So honestly, not a horrible attacker either this meta. But specifically why Photon is so scary on defense is because if you can't kill her before Pure Light, and she throws that special one, oh, dude, good luck. You can't dex it, and now you can't block it either, because you're going to take like a crap ton of block damage. I'm talking like 40% of your health for blocking a freaking special attack. It's absolutely insane. So ideally, like, Mr. Knight would be perfect if you're running Mr. Knight, like we talked about earlier, just because it shuts down the debuffs. Mantis would probably be good. Crossbones is one of her best counters, but Crossbones isn't really great for Invade because he doesn't benefit a ton. But if you are running Crossbones, that would help against Photon. Just the Pure Light special one, Nightmares. Nightmares in this meta, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Another skill defender, honestly, this is a very stacked skill meta, I would say. We have Nick Fury. So Nick Fury, obviously he's always, at the top of defender lists for skill champs. The reason he's so scary is the second life. So you have to kill him twice, first of all, so that already makes him a threat because it is a little bit more of a nuky meta. So he does have that stall factor. And at the same time, if he throws that special one, you pretty much have to block it. Or another one where I recommend, honestly, like, maybe just get hit, because you might take less block damage. He places the Disorient, which increases block damage even more. And then in the second life, he hits freaking hard, and he's stun immune. So if you can't get an intercept or like an opening, and you have to bait a heavy, good luck, man, because he has the Fury, he has Invade. Like, that is going to hurt. Honestly, yeah, like, pretty much go for the intercept. Don't even risk going for a heavy bait, because if he decides to throw a 5-hit combo, you're cooked. You're cooked. Like, you might as well have just gotten hit. Just send the intercept, I would say, in the second life, or save the relic. Do something to avoid hitting this guy's block, or letting this guy hit your block and invade. And try your hardest to not let him throw the special one. Next up, we have Thing. So Thing is a very good defender because he triggers his protection in Invade as well with the 300% attack. So he's just a little bit of a stall, right? He's nothing crazy. He's not too hard to fight anymore. He does have some counters. But Black Cat and Crossbones, probably his two best counters, aren't like super Invade beneficial. Valkyrie's still going to terrorize this guy like pretty easily. But he's going to keep triggering that protection, right, because of the 300% increased block damage. So definitely worth including. And I'm actually going to take mine up just because he's good for the next meta as well. I'll be using the Banquet Sigs to get him up to Sig 200. Next, we have Red Skull. So Red Skull, not too much to talk about. Basically, if you hit his block and he has an armor up, you take a burst of damage. And if he has 5, or I think if he has 10 armor ups, he's stun immune. But he like reduces your stun chance by 10%, I think, on parry. So he also is going to do a lot of block damage if you try to parry him. And he gets auto block after his special one, so you can't hit him then. He could be a nightmare. If you don't have a good counter. Nico completely turns him off, but I mean, Nico shuts down a lot of champs, so there is that. But yeah, Red Skull, I'm probably potentially going to be banning Red Skull if they have like a rank 4 or something, just because that power burst damage can suck. But you could also just fight him normally with a different champ, but he's still, you know, an annoying defender. So yeah. Finally, for the top 10, I would say, we have, nope, not you, Enchantress. So Enchantress is another one kind of like Bullseye who fell off, but has made a resurgence with Invade. And that is because at the start of the fight, she gets her spells. And if she gets a green spell, you gotta bait a heavy. And if she does not want to throw that heavy, you're gonna take some block damage, and that sucks. And at the same time, when she throws a special one, if you can't full dex it, and you're blocking, that's gonna suck too. So Enchantress is a little bit of a stall with those spells, and then has that defensive value as well with the block damage. So Enchantress definitely worth mentioning. Some honorable mentions really quickly. We're just gonna go with Korg. So Korg, if you hit his block, he gains his like charges, and then he goes unstoppable. So you kind of have to play Korg normally unless you have like a Valkyrie or something. And yeah, it could be kind of sketchy. Jean would probably be great for him. You just kind of play normally, ignore the node. But yeah, Korg can be kind of scary on defense. Kindred can kind of be scary on defense just because ideally to punish his special one, you block the burst, and that's going to do a significant amount of damage. And then you kind of want to build power. I don't know. Kindred's just weird this meta, right? Because you can't really do the block special one punish thing. So you have to play around that. Maybe push the special 2. Make sure you have a special. You know, and Kindred's just always annoying because it could go very wrong very quickly. But he doesn't like necessarily get a ton of benefit, so I'm not gonna put him on the top 10. On that same note, we have Gentle, just because he's a little bit of a stall on defense because of the way he works with like crits. If you crit him with the guaranteed crit, he gets his like reinforced, and if you crit him like multiple times within a short period, he gets it as well. So he's gonna be better for like Bullseye, Yelena, champs like that on defense. They won't be able to nuke him as easily, but nothing crazy. Like one thing I found is you could use like Jack and just hit block to gain power, and then throw your special 2 and not have to deal with anything. Same reason Britain's not on this list is because you could do that with Britain as well. And then most champs, if you're hitting into the block with Britain, you're not going to take the Neuro Shock. Britain's not that scary this meta. Last few honorable mentions. We have Domino. So the reason I have Domino as an honorable mention and not as like a straight up is because you could just sidestep her medium, so you can avoid block pretty easily. But if you're unlucky and she throws a special one, yeah, that special one is going to do a lot of block damage, so that definitely sucks. But you can kind of play her the same way, right, where you just hit block to gain power, and then throw specials. So nothing too crazy if you play it the right way, but obviously she's scary because of crit damage and the special one through the block. And then finally we have Atuma, who just does thorns damage when you hit through block even. So that, yeah, just a little bit of damage that you're going to take fighting this guy could be enough to lose a round in this with the times that we have. And on that same note, we have another 6-star. That is Electro. So Electro is going to do a lot of damage to you when you crit through block. I saw a clip, I think from Max, basically using a bullseye against Electro, and he took like 50% of his health in the short time that the fight was for Bullseye to kill him. So Electro, definitely an honorable mention. So that's going to do it for Invade. And we're at 36 minutes, so I apologize, but I just wanted to let you guys know, best attackers and defenders for the meta. Now, we're going to be talking about the polka dot power meta in weeks 3 to 4. So if you don't care about this yet, you can end the video here. We already got the Invade list done. But if you want to know who to rank for the entire season, I recommend watching both. So now let's go ahead and talk about polka dot power. We'll try to speed through this one a little bit quicker just because it's further away and it's a little bit more simple of a meta. So we have Bastion number 1. My rank 3 Bastion is killing everybody in 2 special ones. If you have a rank 4 Sig 200 Bastion, odds are you're 1 special oneing a lot of mutants. Basically, you throw your heavy, the disintegration counts as dot, you build power to your special 1, you throw the special 1, you do a lot of damage. Yeah, that's Bastion. Next up, Deadpool. In every nuke meta, Deadpool is ridiculous. Deadpool, same thing. He triggers his bleeds on some of his basics. Basically, you do that until you have power to throw a special 1 with your 10 charges. You throw the special 1, and if they bleed, they're dead very, very quickly. Deadpool is ridiculous this meta, like he always is in any nuke meta. Next up, we have Kushala. Kushala is one of the best attackers in this meta. So straight up, like, she gains power when she places the buffs on the opponent, or if they trigger buffs, she gains even more power. 1 special 1 from Kushala is probably killing everybody. Like, most champs die from 1 special 1. Like, Deathless Thanos, you throw 1 special 1, and that Incinerate is just going to, like, 2-tick to every protection. So it's going to be like a 30 or 40 second fight still, because you have to trigger your power through buffs, which makes her a little bit slower. But the damage is just absurd. Like, she could take Zola. She could do so much this meta. Who's next? Another Mystic. Nico. Nico, kind of same thing. The way her buff immunity works, triggers the poison. That builds her power. She's doing Serpent in like 29 seconds this meta. Basically, you just throw 2 special 1s and everybody dies. Thanos is probably her worst matchup just because it's a little weird. So you kind of want to throw a special 2 first because of Hurt Locker. And that's going to do, like, it's probably going to trigger the protection with the actual special. And then the moment that protection's over, the poisons are going to tick him all the way down to 50%. And then you're going to throw a special 1. And by the time your animation finishes, he's already at 25% from the poison. It's a weird matchup for Thanos, but she works and she nukes everybody else. She does like Hulkling in 1 special 1. It was 13 seconds. It's absolutely ridiculous. Shout out Steeler. But yeah, Nico, very busted. A lot of mutant mystics are really good on attack this meta, like Tigra. So Tigra gets to a special 2 very quickly because of the rupture and her naturally gaining power through her senses. And her special 2 kills everybody in this meta. It's ridiculous. Tigra with power shield is not fair. Just straight up. Tigra, one of the best attackers, easily. Arguably the best attacker is the dog. Wolf is so stupid this meta. You just hit their block to gain the rupture and it starts giving you power and you just howl and you throw the special 2 and a rank 4 special 2 that that thing's killing everybody. Because a rank 3 special 2 is probably killing everybody. My rank 2, that when testing, was killing most champs in one special 2. Worst case, I had to throw a special 1 afterwards. This guy is so freaking stupid, this meta. Probably the best attacker, straight up, for this meta. Who else? Onslaught. Onslaught gains power through his neuroshocks. It can be a little RNG based, right? But basically, you just build a special 2, throw special 2, and they die. He could do Deathless Thanos in like 40 seconds. This meta is just so stupid. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Next up, Spiral. So Spiral, the only thing about Spiral is she's a little bit hindered by Hurt Locker because you can't really spam special 1s. But she gains power very quickly because of her own like way of stealing power and the ruptures on her basics. So I hate Spiral, but she's worth... Like, I'm running her in the deck. That's how good she is I hate her, and I'm still using her because of how good she is in this meta. Another one is Hyperion because of his natural power gain and special 1s and Furies. Like, this dude's a nuke, this meta. It's not even funny. Whether you go special 1s or just go for the 1-tap on the special 2, it's kind of up to you. I would probably play it like throw one special 1 and then throw a special 2. But I don't have a Hyperion, so I don't know what his numbers are looking like. If he won special 2s, that's probably the way to go. A similar champ. We have Scream, right? All of the debuffs. You build to a special 2, you throw special 2, they're probably dead. I will say, notably, champs that rely on special 2 as opposed to special 1 are slightly worse than champs who just rely on special 1 this meta, just because it takes them longer to build to a special, and that matters. Next up, we have Jean Grey. Jean Grey is just stupid this meta. 2 special 1s kills everybody. And depending on the champ, you might not even need to throw 2 special 1s. She could do Britain in like 1 special 1. She could do Zola in basically 1 special 1, right? You're probably going to throw the second one, but he'll be dead before the animation finishes. She can do a lot of champs in 1 special 1, and she has the guaranteed dot on her light attacks. So very safe, Jean's busted every meta. You don't even need to do special 2. Literally just throw 1 or 2 special 1s and they're dead. Jean's ridiculous. Let's see. Honorable mentions. We have Scorpion. So Scorpion 1-taps everything with the special 2, which that's nice. And he has the reliable dot on his mediums. But takes a little bit longer to build to that just because you have to get to special 2. So not as good. Venom. Venom has the reliable bleed. Honestly, you're doing a lot of damage from just your bleeds alone. And then when you throw your special 1, if you get some bleeds, they're going to tick. The only reason he's an honorable mention is just because his matchups are like not as crazy as the rest of the ones on this list. And arguably, you benefit from throwing multiple special 1s, which isn't as easy to do with Hurt Locker. So I'm not sure if just going to straight special 2 1-taps. I didn't test that, but potentially does. Venom, really good. Should definitely be running him in this meta. Prowler. So Prowler, the only reason he's an honorable mention is because you have to build to special 2. I will say his Incinerate, you want to parry heavy at the start of the fight to get the Incinerate up ASAP, and then that helps build power a little bit faster, especially with the ruptures. But the fact that he has to get to special 2 makes him a little bit slower. That's why he's an honorable mention. But that special 2 is 1-tapping pretty much everybody. And final honorable mention, we have Cassandra Nova. So Cassandra Nova, I believe it is 2 special 1s, and they're dead for most fights. And you should be able to kill before Hurt Locker does the burst. But yeah, I don't have Cass. I didn't get to test her myself, which is why she's an honorable mention, but I did see some crazy things from Cass. Finally, let's run through the defenders really quick for this meta. We have number 1, and this time I would probably say number 1, Deathless Thanos, just because of the protection, makes him a stall. In a nuke meta, stall matters a lot. Deathless Thanos is always one of the best defenders in a nuke meta, and no surprise, he's here again. Another stall, Thing. So I'm ranking Thing specifically for this season. So the good thing about Thing is he has the bleed and the shock immunities as well, which definitely helps when it's polka dot power. and then the protection that triggers, which with pretty much everybody. So the best counter I have found, I would say, is Gene. You just throw a special 1, and the neurotoxins are gonna tick, I keep saying neurotoxin. The neuroshocks are gonna tick him down anyway. The protection doesn't really protect him from that. Nico also does really well because of her poisons. So like the big dot champs can get around thing, but he's definitely worth running in my opinion. Sentinel pretty much just for the immunities. He's not like super tanky in this meta. Like again, Jane can one special one this guy, depending on how many neuroshocks you have on him, and depending on the rank. I believe I did a rank 4 in one special one. It just, the tick, you gotta let it tick for a while, but you can do it. But just the fact that he's a robot gives him the bleed and the poison immunities, and he is a little bit tanky in general, so worth mentioning. There's not a ton of good defenders this meta, so, pickings are thin, I would say, which is why Dust is a defender for this meta, and I think, I can't remember if I mentioned her for Invade, but she's also a defender for Invade as well, just because she glances on block and places the dust debuffs. But she's a defender because of her immunities, right? The more immunities you have, odds are the less matchups that less champs people have that can take you, because a lot of champs bleed, and if you're immune to bleed, you're not gaining power. So Dust gets the mention there. Zola is also really good this meta, surprise, because of the immunities and because his cowardice on special. So he is kind of tanky. Again, dot champs kind of get around that because the dot gets such a boost. And then like Carolina Dean is killing this guy very quickly, like 37 seconds. I'm pretty sure is like the exact speed if you get like Perfect Sun, Special 2, Special 1, Lights Out. Kara's a little bit slower this meta, though, just because of the natural power gain being her only way. Ooh, who's next? We have Zemo / other Shruggers. So Zemo specifically because when you trigger the 5th Shrug, you get rooted, which is scary. But Shruggers in general can be decent stall defenders just because you place a debuff, they shrug it, right? Now you don't gain power. It just takes you a little bit longer to build to a special than it would other champs. And Zemo specifically, obviously, that 5th shrug, you get rooted. Now you have to deal with that. So yeah, I know like Liam is taking up Zemo for this meta, which, by the way, shout out Liam, because we ran a lot of friendlies for 3 to 4 to practice for this meta and get a lot of this information. So big thank you to him. Nick. So Nick, pretty much just because of the second life, right? He's a stall. It's a nuke meta. Stall helps. I will say, I have a rank 4 unduped Deadpool X-Force, and you can kill a rank 4 Sig 200 Nick Fury with one special 1, even unduped. Oh, Orhan, thanks for the sub. even unduped in this meta, which is just absolutely ridiculous. One special 1, Deadpool is nuking this guy. But anybody else, it's going to be slightly slower because of the second life. So yeah. Kindred kind of has that same thing, right? With his immortality at 5% with the root. You have to save a special for that. And it's hard when a lot of times your special one taps. So the best champs for this are champs who can do like big special ones or the dog. So if you haven't seen it, I posted a short of my rank 2 dog doing Kindred in like 31 seconds, full health. But the dog is stupid. But another champ like Gene, right? You just throw a special 1, let it tick him down, and then by the time he gets to his 5%, you should have another special 1. You just throw that. But obviously Kindred can always catch you. So yeah, worth mentioning. Iceman! Where's that dude at? Iceman is worth it just because he's immune to so much, man. So bleed, poison, incinerate, cold snap, Nova Flame, frostbite, right? This dude has so many immunities, it's absurd. That's pretty much his only defensive value this meta. And if he's Sig 200, you're going to take some damage, which in a nuke meta, a little bit of damage matters. Best champs, I would say, to counter him is like Sentinel is Cold Snap immune and places Dot, so Sentinel would work. And then champs like technically Sasquatch, same thing, but who's running Sasquatch, you know what I mean? Jean Grey, you can kind of tank some of the Cold Snap. But yeah, Iceman, pretty good as well this meta. And last and untested, I would say, is Jessica Jones. So the way Jessica Jones works is when you throw a special, she places weakness on you. And if you throw more than one special, she goes unstoppable. So the only thing I'm not sure of is, like, some champs can just kill in one special one anyway. Like, I imagine Jean, if you let it tick enough, is just going to kill her in one special one also. But she potentially could be a good defender this meta. We'll see. Honorable mentions really quickly, because this is a very long video now. We have Electro for the same reason, right? You take damage, it's a nuke meta, damage can win you the round. Yeah, Electro is Electro. The only thing is, like, it's a 6-star. Do you want to be running 6 stars, especially on defense? Next up, we have Korg, right? We got the honorable mention as well in the last meta. So Korg, just because you have to play him differently, can be a bit of a stall. And then he has that protection if you throw the special into his rock stacks. So he could delay you. You could take some damage. He could win you around for sure. Same reason, Penny Parker is going to be an honorable mention. So if you don't have like a good Penny counter, which I will say Hulkling scales horribly for Power Shield. Hulkling gains power because of the way his like buff power gain works, but he's not one special twoing anybody, so he's not worth running in my opinion. But like Caro, you gotta get her you gotta get her shield down with special attacks because it's not gonna take damage when you're hitting it with basics. So Penny can definitely catch you off guard. I'm not exactly sure who like the best Penny counter would be, but yeah, definitely a pretty good defender this meta. She still can be nuked, but yeah, if she auto blocks you, you're probably gonna take some damage, and she's gonna be a bit of a stall. So finally, Atuma once again gets an honorable mention just because you're gonna take some damage, right? It's a nuke meta. You're gonna take some damage. It's always good. Always wins you some rounds. So yeah, Atuma gets the honorable mention. I apologize for the... I did not expect this video to be as long as it is, I'm going to be honest with you. But that is all of the best attackers and defenders for both metas for Season 35. Now, if you want a quick list of champs who are good for both that you should potentially consider ranking up if you want to rank up champs for this season, which, like I said, it's always better to rank for the last meta than the first. But if there's champs that benefit in both, then it's beneficial to rank them, right? We have Yelena, Wolf, Thing, Sentinel, Zola, Dust, Zemo, and Kushala. Yeah, if you are looking for champs to rank specifically for this season, I would say those champs specifically are probably the best for both metas when you factor in attack, defense, all that stuff. So, yeah. That's going to do it for me, guys. Very, very long video, but if you liked it, I would appreciate a like or subscribe, and let me know down below who are you going to use for this meta. Are you taking anybody up? And yeah, good luck on your pushes. This season's going to be kind of crazy. It's not a real meta, right? As the homie Dread would say. But yeah, good luck out there. Have fun, and see you guys next time.